Hello, it's Dr. Bettina here from Nip in the Bud. We had a letter that said my 9-year-old daughter has just been diagnosed with dyslexia. She's pretty down. How do I support her and build her self-esteem? So I do have some thoughts about this. First of all, it's so great that you got the diagnosis now. In some ways, you have nipped it in the bud. There are many people who don't go on to get a diagnosis until much later, and a lot of damage could be done in the meantime. So well done, you. But let's think for a moment about diagnosis and what it means. So the way we present a diagnosis to a young person is really crucial and can make a big difference. Usually, we will seek a diagnosis when a child has been struggling in a particular way. And when we do the assessment, we pinpoint exactly where the problem is. And in this case, it was dyslexia. So without a diagnosis, kids may make a much more global and damning interpretation of what's going on. They might think, oh, I'm really unintelligent, or there's something wrong with me. So what dyslexia means is that there's challenges with reading and writing and spelling. Everyone's profile is slightly different, but it is certainly not a lack of intelligence. In fact, many people with dyslexia have incredibly creative capabilities. They can be really good at problem solving things in a way that other brains can't manage. And they often develop an incredible amount of determination and persistence. So diagnosis should offer knowledge and information, and in many ways it can be a relief for parents and for children. It is all in the delivery. It's really important to ensure that you deliver the news with a positive tone. There's a big difference between there's something I have to tell you and there's something I have to tell you. So try to keep it positive. Try and link it to their experience. So you might say something like, I think we have found out why we have to go over those spellings so many times. And then you can say, it's to do with how your brain is wired. Everyone's brain is different. And your brain, we got a name for it. And there are other people like you, and we call it dyslexia. So the way that you deliver it is crucial in terms of how the child receives it. I would also really recommend sharing stories of role models, actors, entrepreneurs, maybe people in their lives, pop stars who have dyslexia and who are really thriving. And there are so many stories of people like that. So a diagnosis should bring clarity, it should bring relief and not fear, and it should be delivered in a positive way. But let's have a think about your child's experience because there's some very important things in this letter here. So what you say in the letter is that your daughter is very down about this and you want to know how to build her self-esteem and her confidence. Well, I think an important thing to focus on is what does the diagnosis mean to her? And I would really make time for talking about this. So if she says she feels really down about it, instead of saying, no, don't worry about it, there's nothing bad about this, I would be really curious. Say, tell me some of the things that are worrying you. She may have some genuine worries, like she might think, well, I'm never going to be good at spelling, or I'm always going to find reading hard. And those are real things that she probably is going to experience. But as you talk it through, you and her can work out that it's okay. It's not the end of the world. When you name the worries, she can begin to see what she's worried about in a very specific way, and you can too. And then at the right time, you can move the conversation on and think about all the ways in which it's not going to affect her life. Now, she might have some worries or ideas that this is life limiting, this diagnosis, that it means terrible things for her future. And those are things that you'll be able to talk through with her and help her to realize those things are not really true. So that would be a really important thing. Just to recap, when she shows you a worry or tells you about a worry or feeling down about it, be curious. Tell me what makes you feel down about this diagnosis, and don't assume you know. Show compassion. I can see that this is something that's really on your mind. And then take the conversation a step further when it seems like the right moment. It strikes me that dyslexia is going to affect some parts of your life, but there are many parts of your life that it's not going to affect. And then finally, let's think about how we can support her and build her self-esteem. Well, in terms of support, there are many, many accommodations and adjustments that can be made in school and out of school that can help this young person to manage her dyslexia. There's incredible assistive technologies these days, like text-to-speech software, for example. Everything is available on an audiobook, so it can help her to access information and also to read great books, which is a wonderful thing for young people to be able to do. And then there are many adjustments that can be made in class, and I think schools and teachers are much more aware of these kinds of brain differences now, and they are able to make these adjustments. Examples might be not having her copy from the board, because that's a very onerous task for her. If her reading is very slow and there's a reading part of the task within class, then somebody might read it to her. Some kids have scribes because their spelling and their writing is so problematic for them. Part of the assessment will be to evaluate and assess and make recommendations for what kind of accommodations and adjustments are needed. I think it's really important that you as a parent do some work yourself. Now, dyslexia and other kinds of neurodiversity runs in families. So parents may share some of their child's experience. But whether you do or you don't, a diagnosis can bring up strong emotions for us as parents. I worked with a mother who had dyslexia that wasn't picked up, and she wasn't supported when she was a young person. And when her child was struggling with their letters, she found it really, really hard. She found it very painful because she was experiencing her child's pain, but also almost experience her own pain again. So it's very important as parents that we process these feelings, that we go and talk to somebody about it so that we can fully support our kids and we don't pass on our emotions or our kind of emotional baggage about things to our kids. So you might do that with a friend, with a partner. There are some great support groups, or you might even go and find some therapy or counseling if that's available to you. And when you do that work yourself, then you create space to really be able to give your daughter the full support that she needs. Confidence comes from competence. So helping her to find where she feels really capable is one of the best things you can do for her. Now, this all takes time. I would commit to this process over a number of months or even a year or so. This is not all going to change instantly. I know that a diagnosis can be a shock. It changes somebody's identity. You have to shift and say, what does this mean about me as a person? As a parent, you might be thinking, what does this mean about how I parent my child? But I have seen so many families and individuals where the diagnosis has actually given them some really positive insight and ultimately really helped everybody to work out what's really going on and to thrive. So I hope that you can make that shift with your daughter in the next few months, and really, really good luck with that.